Let's go. Let's go.
Second episode of 2023, bro. How you feeling?
Episode 5.
How you feeling?
I feel great, man. How about yourself?
A little bit sleepy, bro, because we're shooting at a
I know.
different time zone, different time period.
Exactly. And then I work nights, so I know we were supposed to do it yesterday, but we couldn't, and my schedule basically wouldn't allow me to do it. Uh, but it was good, man. It was good. It's good to shoot it to record now, and feels a little different. Because I know you're sleepy and I'm sleepy, and I'm just like but feels good, man. The sun's out, it's light out,
Yeah.
and feels good.
I feel like there's maybe a little bit more pressure or you're a little bit more stressed on your side because you just worked out in the morning. And for me,
Yeah,
since I go to school at night, and by the time that I get home, it's also basically the next day. I mean, it's like 12
yeah,
a.m. I mean, I'm not that accustomed to waking up early the following day because my sleeping schedule would be all over the place basically. So right now
exactly.
it's like we talked about on this podcast, it's like a little bit of discipline and a little bit of commitment to actually
Hmm.
be up at this time. I mean, of course on your end there's a lot more because you actually work out and run early on, but on my side the whole commitment
Yeah,
behind it is also there because it's like, damn, bro, I hardly ever wake up at this time frame. But at the same time, it's good, bro, because of the fact that my brothers actually just started school. So
that's
getting up
good.
at this time is also a good way to kind of like sleep a little bit earlier. That way,
Hmm.
when my mom comes in and wakes these guys up, I'm already ready to go as well.
You're ready to go,
Yeah.
and that's good, man. And then you can say bye to your siblings as they go to school and all of that. Build more relationship like that.
Hmm.
For me, man, like I work nights, right? I work nights, and I work 12-hour shifts, and so on the days that I work, I just come home, I shower, I had like I said, I have my little routine. I shower, I go to sleep, I wake up, like I only sleep like 6 hours, and go to the gym, and then obviously do my cardio or whatever, and then go to work. But on the days that I don't go to work, I went from working a lot of hours to not working as much. But now I have 3 days off, and then so on the days that I don't work, I used to go to sleep really late just because I wanted to keep the same schedule as my work schedule.
Hmm.
But then I like to separate them now. So where I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, even though I have my alarm set for 5 o'clock in the morning,
Hmm.
but I'll be waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I tell myself I'm not gonna go back to sleep because I don't want to be waking up by my alarm. I'm like I'm already up. I'm gonna beat my alarm. So I always set that goal. Like I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm gonna beat my alarm. And I'm the type that I listen to melodies when I go to sleep. I listen to like
Like white noise.
freaking yeah, like wind noises, freaking
Yeah.
sounds, freaking all of that. It's also good when you meditate, but
Hmm.
um, I like to beat my alarm, and then, like I said, on the days that I don't work, I wake up at that time at 4 o'clock. I go run at 5 o'clock in the morning, and then do what I got to do, and then by like 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm already, or 6:30 in the morning, I'm already at the gym working out, and then obviously come home, shower, rest, wake up, take a little nap, wake up, and work out again in my house. But I try to work out twice a day, but I had to try to get my cardio in. The one thing that I would say that is my biggest my biggest challenge is not even the soda, man. It's not the soda. It's none of that. It's I love to eat, and who doesn't, right?
Yeah. Who
So
doesn't?
I love to eat. So obviously, I'm disciplined in every other area. I just need to be more disciplined in two areas in my life three areas in my life where I feel like if I got them down to where I have my gym schedule and everything, I will be at 100% in every aspect, meaning um, money wise, financial, right? Spirituality, and also eating habits. Like, yeah, I can eat more, but maybe, but I do feel accomplished because I went from eating a lot, meaning like I went from eating like 4 plates a day to eating one big plate a day and some
Mhm.
like healthy snacks or whatever here and there.
Mhm.
Just try to balance it out.
Yeah, I feel like we mentioned in the first podcast, I believe, where when people set a New Year's resolution, they go all in that first day. And a lot of
Yeah.
times, when they go all in, they burn themselves out. And a lot of people, if we're being honest with ourselves, they don't really know what to do, so they just go all in. So, for example, like if they're trying to like lose weight, right? Let's just say,
Yeah.
let's just give out like the most basic example. A lot of people get so caught up in like cardio, cardio, cardio that they'll do miles and miles and miles, and they'll burn
Yeah.
themselves there, and they'll be so sore the next few days that they're just like, fuck it, forget about
Exactly.
this. And they could have approached it a smarter way. I mean, they could have done a little bit of weights, right, build some muscle, and then
Yeah.
while simultaneously at the same time burn some fat with some a little bit of cardio. I mean, you don't gotta go all crazy with it, instead of just burning yourself out with day one
Hmm.
just doing 10 miles. I mean, it's cool and it's great motivation. It kind of makes people, or it kind of shows how motivated people really are. But at the same time, when
Yeah.
you go all in, bro, that first day and you're sore the next days, I mean,
Yeah.
like I mentioned, you train your mind into saying this sucks, so this first day was enough, and fuck that, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
do this shit no more.
Yeah. But okay, so a while ago, meaning like months ago, last year, basically, um, I freaking I had a gym membership, and I would only go like maybe once a month, and or even if that, But every time I would go, I wouldn't hit weights. I would just hit the treadmill,
Hmm.
and obviously, my friend kind of like taught me how to do like my chest, triceps, biceps,
Yeah.
work out my body, and taught me how to do sets and how to I guess pre-workout work. Or he didn't make. He went to the, and I kind of like I was a little shocked that I knew what I was doing, because before I tried, like I said, I would hit the treadmill when I would go by myself, and then
Hmm.
I would try different things, but I didn't know how to do it, so I just like, I just rather go to the treadmill. But now I know exactly what I'm doing. If I'm hitting back or whatever it is, I know what I'm doing now. Feels good, but it just like you said, you got to take that leap of faith, that step towards, you know.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, I don't mean to knock you off or anything, but it's also good
Oh,
to
you're good.
have that like guidance. It's great to have those people that know exactly what they're doing
Yep.
and basically show you the ropes. I feel also a lot of times, especially like weight loss, I feel a lot of people end up doing it by themselves, or they end up just doing some BS kind of program or workout that a lot of these celebrity or fitness IG people throw out
Yeah.
there. And a lot of times, like those aren't really like the programs that those guys follow specifically. It just kind of looks very flashy and very captivating to the
Yeah.
eye, so it gets them a lot of views, a lot of likes, and people think that some of these workouts are effective. Like I remember back in the days, there was this guy called Mike Chang who was part of a big company called Six Pack Shortcuts, right? And his workouts
Yeah.
involved like towels and a bunch of like BS stuff, bro. Which some of it, I mean, in theory, it looked cool, but it really didn't add the
Yeah.
resistance that one needed to put on some muscle mass or make it challenging
Hmm.
enough to be some type of cardiovascular kind of exercise or to fit your cardiovascular goals. So some of these stuff, if you looked at it from a perspective of actual training, it just was BS. But it just kind of sold because he sold it in a way where it was like financially cheap. It looked effective and it looked similar
Yeah.
to a lot of the exercises that you would find in a conventional gym, but they just kind of didn't really add the resistance one needed to actually grow. And just like anything else in life, you kind of need to be uncomfortable to grow. You get me?
Exactly.
Like you need an actual force like fighting you to actually stimulate that growth that you really need. In this case, it would be weights, right? You need to in
Yeah.
a way go against the weights to be able to add that stress, so you could like break down the muscle, and of course it comes back to build up bigger and stronger.
Exactly. And I agree, man, with the whole. with the whole you versus you. I never really realized it until like until I started my gym process, my gym fitness journey. How it is you versus you. Like you think I want to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning? No, I'd rather be in bed sleep. But it's you gotta have that it's man over matter. Like you don't want to be comfortable. You can be in bed all cozy, but you don't want to be comfortable because you're not gonna grow if
Hmm.
you're comfortable. And that's something that I realized, and it's just something that you got to get over. Like you got to get over yourself. Like, hey, this has to be done, and you do it. I think I heard David Goggins say, if you do it early in the morning, you get it out of the way. If you hate something, do it in the morning, early in the morning, before the sun's up, and you'll take care of it at the beginning, and you don't have to worry about it anymore. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, I've heard that somewhere too, bro. It's like everything that you hate doing or everything that sucks, make sure that's like the priority. Make sure that's the first thing that you
Yeah.
check off on the list. So that way, as the day progresses, your day, of course, gets a little easier.
hmm But not for me in this case, because I'm actually trying, not because I know I said this before, how I work out twice a day, but
Hmm.
I only do that because I heard The Rock say that he works out twice a day. So I'm not at his level yet. You know, that's something that I'm instilling in myself. Like I'm gonna have to work out regardless how I feel. So I can't get it out of the way in the beginning, anyways. But to me, it's like I love the pain. I love the results. Like I was
Hmm.
working out today, and I was like, man, I was telling my gym partner, like, man, like look, like I feel my arm feels like it's getting bigger. He says, it feels tight, huh? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, all smiling, like inside. I was like, man, this feels good. It's like the result. So when I'm working out, I don't focus on the result in the beginning. I just focus on the muscle. I focus on on the workout at the moment. But it feels good because then you feel accomplished, and then you just want to keep going, and
Yeah, I have one of my friends that's recently has gone on a weight loss journey as well, and he says like one of
yeah,
the most satisfying things that he gets from all of this is when other people tell him, "Hey, bro,
cool.
you look good.
hmm
Hey, bro, you look like you're in shape. Hey, bro, you're putting on some muscle mass," and so forth and so forth. Right? So it's always
yeah,
cool to give yourself the props and, of course, praise yourself a little bit, but se siente like más chingón. You get me? Like you feel a whole lot better
yeah,
when the people outside are like, "Oh fuck, like my guy
yeah.
over there really killing it." You get me?
Like I'm gonna tell you, like, so obviously I post my gym stuff and everything that
Hmm.
I do on my social media, and bro, like when I go on a run or when I go to the gym, like I have people hit me up, like they send me like their Snapchats, like a picture,
Hmm.
like look, I'm at the gym. Look, like I'm at the gym. I'm at the gym. So I have all these people, like gym bros, that are like, hey, look, I'm at the gym. And so every time I see them, I was like, hey, you going to the gym? So trying, like, I guess we keep each other accountable without thinking we're keeping each other accountable.
Yeah.
And accountability to me is very important in life, and everything you do, because you have to be accountable in order for you to grow. Um, uh, and like I said, I'm big on no excuses, right?
Hmm.
So I think I told you this before. How there was this guy at work. How he's like, man, I only work out on the weekends because um, I work, and I want to, and I only have time on the weekends to work out. And I just told him straight up, bro. Like I was like, you're just making excuses. And then I left, right? I come back to where he's at, and he's like, I thought he was gonna be mad,
Hmm.
but he was just like, bro, like you know what, you're right. And I just told him, look, bro, like I work a lot too. We work the same hours, and sometimes I clock in before you, so I put in more hours, and I still have time to work out.
Hmm.
I still have time to go for a run. And he's like, no, you're right. Like I'm making excuses. So now, and then going back to what you were saying about giving yourself praise, but yes, like once I started losing a lot of weight, everybody at work was like, man, you look good. And then there's a lot of people that saw my change,
Uh-huh.
and now they're working out. And then they're like, man, I started working out because I saw results in you, and I want the same. Matter of fact, that girl that I was telling you about that told me that, oh, you're not gonna lose weight, she's like, man, like you lost weight, and now she posted that she's going to the gym, and then when I seen her, she's she's chubby, and she's like, nothing wrong with that, but she was like, hey, I started going to the gym, and I was like, why? And she said, because of you, and that kind of made me feel good because, like I said, when she told me that I wasn't gonna lose weight, that was one of the things that I would use in my mind, like, oh,
I
I'm gonna
feel
show her.
you.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So now for her to do the same thing and work out, and it's like it's good to me because I like to empower people to reach their full potential.
Hmm.
So to me, even though she told me something like that to push me, turn negative into a positive, I want her to do the same thing. Even though sometimes we have a little issues, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and it's funny, just you talking about discipline and motivation at the gym. I was just recently hearing a guy in Spanish. He just popped up, bro. I
Yeah,
honestly don't even really know who he is. It was just like this
yeah,
bald dude that was in shape. And no, it's not Johnny Sins from Pornhub, you nasties. Nah, it was a Spanish speaking dude, and he was
yeah,
talking about how his discipline is the gym. So he was talking about there was some days, of course he said it in Spanish, you get me? He was all like, there's some days where he doesn't really feel like going, but he's just
yeah,
like, fuck it, I'm gonna go and just do it for 5 minutes. I'm gonna
yeah.
do it for 5 minutes, and he says somewhere between 90 to 95% of the time, those 5 minutes eventually turn into a
Turn.
full on workout. Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah,
he's like, yeah, but there's some days where I'm human, just like everyone else, and where my
yeah,
day, he says, está la chingada, you get me? Or it's all fucked up, it's bullshit. So there's, that 5% chance where I go to the gym for those 5 minutes and I just go home because I'm not in it. I feel sick. I'm having just a bad day in general. But he says, just get in there 5 minutes, kind of get your warm up, get in
yeah,
there and just start either picking up weights or moving a little bit, and eventually your brain and your body will just kind of like work into that rhythm, and eventually those
yeah.
5 minutes could actually turn into like a full hour workout, or basically
Exactly,
as long as your workout takes.
exactly. And everybody's different because, like, for me, like, I don't even like think like that. Like
Hmm.
me is like yesterday, my gym doesn't. I thought it opened at 12, so I was already ready. But
Hmm.
then my friends like, no, they open at 1, and I was like, man. So I was like, okay, I want to go, but now we have to wait. So it's like, so to me, it's like, I guess it's already instilled in me,
Hmm.
like, I'm going to the gym regardless of how I feel. You
Yeah.
know, like I'm gonna go and get that workout. I'm gonna try to go in and get that extra rep, get that extra set. You know what I mean? And I know there's people that work out like differently. Like it can
Yeah.
be either work out your whole body, because a lot of people tell me, "Oh, what do you do?" And I'm like, "I'll work out sometimes. Well, first one day legs, one day triceps, biceps,
Yeah.
arms, whatever." And some people say, "No, I work out my whole body." And I used to think that was bad, but one of my friends, he's a trainer, and he's like, "No, I mean you can actually do that."
Yeah,
But
you could.
he's like, for me, I like to focus on one thing at a time.
Hmm.
So that's what I do. Um, but it's all personal. Like there was like when I barely started going, bro, I couldn't even lift the bar, and I would look around. I'm like, man, like I want to get to that level. I want to get to that level. But then I started thinking to myself, like, this is my journey. This
Yeah.
is where I'm at. So now I don't bench just the bar. I'm actually at a different level now. So it feels good to actually go back and just to talk about it and to think about like where I was at. And it can be in anything in life. It can be in anything in life. Whether like, man, I used to run a mile, now I can run 3.
Hmm.
Or, man, I did this one song, and now I got so good at it that now I'm doing multiple. Or like I just started learning how to cook, and I'm making multiple dishes. Whatever it is, you know, you learn by making mistakes. And it's all a personal journey.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it's like being like the best version that you possibly can. And like you mentioned, there's so many ways to train because we all have different goals. I mean, someone that's training to sprint is not going to be training the same way a bodybuilder would, or a
Hmm.
boxer would, or a triathlete would. Like everybody has different goals, and
Yeah.
everybody's training at a different level, different ways. People are approaching training a bunch of different different ways, basically. So like 3 plus 3 is 6, but so is 5 plus 1. You get me? So I
Yeah.
think that it's just depending on what your goals are. You train specifically, or you train to a specific program that will actually get you the goals that you
Hmm.
actually, or will get you to the goal that you actually need to accomplish. Basically, whether some people still are weekend warriors. They'll compete in, I mean, a bunch of different events, right? Sporting events. So there's that,
Yeah.
and also like just basically like getting into the gym, bro, and just doing what you got to do and just focusing on yourself is also the best thing you could do, bro, because like you said, like people, like, or like we mentioned right now, people have different goals from the next person. Like one person in the gym
Yeah.
might be lifting heavy, bro, but he might not be really lifting for a competition. He just might be lifting out of pure joy and entertainment, or
Yeah.
just cuz. And then the guy next to you, he might be lifting lighter weight, but for all we know, he could actually be competing. Like we don't know, you get me? Like it's not really
Yeah.
that cool to compare, because you also kind of lose the joy of you yourself getting better, because now you're just comparing yourself to these people, while at the same time losing insight of your goal. And plus at the same time, I mean, especially like early on, bro, like how I told you, is when you're starting off,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really like you're gonna go in there and bench 45 pounds. You get me? Off of each
Of
side.
course.
You're not gonna be benching a plate. You're not gonna be throwing up 135 in the air. Like you take it step by step,
Yep.
and eventually you'll
Yep.
get there. As much work as you put in, of course, it's gonna be a bit of a shorter time, depending on how smart you approach your training. But I just feel like if you like I told you this all I tell you this all the time. If you get 1% better
Yeah.
every day, bro, by the end of the year you'll be 365% better. You get me?
Facts, and that's true, man. You get back what you put in, and and everything in life. You put in the work. I'm big on that. Like I used to work 3 jobs. I used to only sleep like 3 hours a day. I love hard work. I love dedication. At my job, they're like, man, you know how to do everything here. Like you put in the hard work. And I don't need nobody to tell me that because I know I do. And so I love people like that. I love people that that want to go to the next level. But talking about that, I remember my boss would tell me like, if you really want to grow, you want to focus on yourself. So I try to do that when I'm at the gym, or either where I'm at work, or wherever I'm at. Like I'm not trying to focus on anything but myself and how can I better myself. Like I said last time in the other podcast, like you cannot help in the other episode, like we cannot help others if we cannot help ourselves first. So obviously we all know that growth is personal. And honestly, like I remember when I had went to go visit you, you had put me to work out. I think it was like for like an hour, and I was dying.
Hmm.
And I feel like now I'm a little bit more advanced, so be ready when I go.
Yeah, the journey is always personal. I just
Yeah,
feel sometimes we kind of lose that joy because we compare
yeah,
ourselves, but also sometimes we do it subconsciously. Like for example, let's just say I wanted to be, I don't know, let's just say the best boxer ever, right? For example.
uh-huh.
But I'm comparing myself to like Floyd, a guy that has done it all, been there, done that,
Hmm.
and actually has a whole career in front of him. Like my career hasn't even started, bro. Like I'm just getting
Yeah,
started, and I'm just barely taking my baby steps into the world of boxing. And if I'm comparing myself to
hmm,
this guy, then of course it's kind of, I mean, you kind of handicap yourself, because it's like, man, bro, at this age he already did this, or at this age he already done
yeah,
that. And you even said it yourself a couple seconds ago, a couple minutes ago. Everybody's journey is personal, and it doesn't always have to
yeah,
be with sports. Like a lot of people may be looking at some entrepreneurs. There's some entrepreneurs that at age
yeah,
20 they're already making millions of dollars, and you kind of
yeah,
use those people kind of like maybe not your idols, bro, but maybe as kind of like the poster boy or the poster girl for
Yeah,
your goals. And if your pathway doesn't look the same as theirs, then it's kind of
yeah,
like you handicap yourself. And we go back to the same thing, bro. Your goals, your journey is personal. And the more you compare yourself to the
yeah,
people that you want to be like, it kind of robs you of the joy of your journey.
yeah, and then also to think about, like you mentioned Floyd and all of them, like just to picture how, if you really think about it, like picture how where they started,
Hmm.
started from scratch. Some of them, yeah, some of them started from scratch, and some of them actually had like, But again, it's like it doesn't matter if you were born poor or rich or wherever or whatever. Like if
Hmm.
you want to make it happen, you make it happen regardless of your situation. I used to think, man, like, but this person has, like at the time, like, man, but this person has a studio,
Hmm.
so you can record whenever you want. You know what I mean? And now I have my own studio, but I don't record every day. Yeah, because I have a job and I do different things, but it's all about perception. It's all about like going back to again, like it's all yourself. Like this is your journey. This is where you start. This is. I remember when I barely started rapping, like I was like, man, like this. Like there's a guy, there's a rapper. His name is NF, and he was
Hmm.
saying one time. He said in one of his songs, "Is like the artists that you think are new. I mean, the artists that you think like are new, but those artists like they're basically already like new to the industry, you can say. But these artists have actually been putting it for like put in work for years. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And it makes you think like if you listen to an artist, you'd be like, man, this song's dope. But what about the songs before? Like what
Yeah.
about when he barely started?
Hmm.
That hard work to reach to success because a road to success. If you cannot handle stress, you cannot handle success. With that being said, is there's always gonna be curveballs going your way if you want to be successful. There's always gonna be lies. There's always gonna be, you know, how could I do it better? What could I do to change? What could I do to grow? Or could I invest in this? We are afraid to fail, but in failure we what do we find? We find correction. We find um okay, this way didn't work, but maybe this thing will, and like I said, that applies to anything. That applies to anything that that you want to apply it to.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that with the mistakes and growing off of the mistakes because it's kind of true. I remember as a kid, one of my teachers would be or give us the opportunity to take the same test twice if we failed.
Yeah,
And the only reason
well,
why
that's cool.
he did that, he explained at the end of the year is because he wanted us to actually focus on the things we didn't know. So, for example, if we got a
Wow.
question wrong on, let's just say, uh, the history of World War II, right? He wants us to
Yeah.
go back and look at those questions that we got wrong and actually study that. Or the questions where we
Wow.
felt like we would have had a little bit of doubt, he wanted us to kind of like go over it so we could actually keep the whole history of it kind of ingrained in our mind, at least for that semester. You get me? Because, I mean, nowadays, if
Well,
I,
that's honestly that's very. I wish I had that, but that's a very powerful man. Like a second chance, but
yeah,
like for you to go back and study and actually like go back and study
mhm.
so you can get it right.
Yeah, and it was the same exact test, bro. The only thing is that in his first test, you know how a lot of people or a lot of teachers would kind of grade your test and then kind of like circle
Hmm.
in or give you like the right answer. He didn't, bro.
Yeah,
He would just tell you which question was wrong, and then he would actually make you retake the whole test if you wanted to again, or if you had a bad
yeah,
grade. And basically, you would go over the same test again. So he wouldn't give you that correct answer to the question that you got wrong because he gave you that
yeah,
second opportunity to actually go back and study, and
and
in
study.
hopes that off of your mistake you learn and get it right the second time around.
Wow,
Yeah, man.
that's nice, man.
Yeah, I've had
That's
I've
nice.
we I've, I think I've had some pretty decent teachers in my life, bro.
No, that's good, man. Same here, man. But like thinking about it, I was talking to one of my friends. His name is Gary, and we were in high school together, and we had two classes together.
Hmm.
But like I was telling him that when I really started going to that school, I used to dress like Eminem, man. I used to have my headphones, I had my beanie, 8 Mile style,
Mhm.
and 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 then I would see him, but he had the same headphones I have,
Mhm.
so that's how we met. Like I would see him walking around, and he was like bobbing his head, and then yeah, like that, and then and then I seen him, and we did exactly something like that.
Mhm.
Well, not exactly, but something like that,
Yeah.
and we just started talking. He said he wants to make music, and I told him I make music, so we started talking. But um, he was the class clown in school. In every class I had with him, he was always like he was super funny. But my teacher, our teachers were kind of like, be like, Gary, stop doing that, and he would just do it. But like towards the end, once we were going to graduate and everything,
Mhm.
it kind of like, yeah, like he was pretty cool, made me laugh or whatever, whatever. And for me, like I wasn't really the class clown. I was like more to myself, but I always had headphones on, and I don't care. I don't care on, I guess, on sharing it, but like I kind of had a learning problem or disability, you can say. But for me, I concentrate more listening to music.
Mhm.
So at the time, uh, when I was in foster care, my social worker kind of was, told my teacher, and I guess some teachers allowed it. And I just had one on. I was like literally like that, in class. I was in class with one headphone on and one on and one off, and I was able to concentrate. I literally went, bro. That's why I feel like music is good. I went from an F to a C in geometry,
Mhm.
you know. But it's funny because in history and in English and in English and history, I had A's and B's,
Mhm.
and not because I'm a writer. Not just playing, but 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 yeah, and so yeah, it was really cool. Shout out to Gary.
Yeah, that's crazy that you actually had an A for those subjects because, I mean, in math, it's like a bunch of work, and you guys have to actually like prove it through like a means of steps
Hmm.
and equations and whatnot, theories, hypotheses, all that BS. And in science and like history, you just mostly remembering facts for the most part. At least from what I remember, bro,
Yeah,
is like you actually had to know it. So it's also pretty impressive, bro, that you did really well in those subject matters because you have to remember like facts and
yeah,
historical moments and historical figures. So that's pretty impressive, bro. You
yeah,
asked me, regardless if you had a disability or not, bro.
yeah, and yeah. So that's one of the things. Like I said, I was able to impress with myself when I was able to like actually. I think I mentioned this on the first podcast, on the first episode that we had, or second, where I wrote this story about kind of like about my life at the time when I was in foster care, and how very well detailed I put it and everything, that they literally printed. They wanted me to share with my classmates.
Mm-hmm.
My teacher loved it. She's like, "Wow, we need to have a meeting because this is really really good." And so I was really surprised within myself how very detailed and informative I can be if I write. And that goes to show you how words are powerful. Actions, obviously, like actions are better than words, but there's some cases, in some instances, where words are powerful,
Mm-hmm.
especially for depending on who it's coming from, and that kind of inspired me to continue with the music during that period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but with the whole history, I loved history. I love history, and I love to learn about that. And even for me, I found it impressive that, I mean, I was able to, I guess, like, to get a hold of that information, and to remember, because I'm a very forgetful person. No, I'm just playing. But yeah, man. What about you?
What about me?
Like, what about what about you? Like, tell me your grades
I mean,
at the time.
in school, bro, I feel like I was always a good student. I feel the
Mm,
only time where I got a little bit out of hand, bro, was early on in middle school. But for the most part, I feel like I was always a good student, bro. I was never someone that I would consider kind of with disability or someone that would act stupid in class. I remember like being in the first grade and second grade and third grade and thinking like, oh man, this is really easy. And I
Yeah.
was one of those people, bro, that really hated like popcorn reading because of the fact that I was a really strong
Put you on the
reader as
spot.
well, and I hated like choosing someone, bro. And with all due respect, I hated fucking listening to kids spell out shit like the
Yeah.
cat. Like I hated that shit. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I
Yeah.
just kind of felt as a kid that damn, bro, like I'm really stuck with a lot of stupid people, and so and so as I got a little bit older, bro, they put me in honors and gate and all that stuff. But at the same time, I never really looked out for a challenge, bro, in education just because I wasn't really a fan of it. I mean, I liked learning, bro. I just didn't really like learning specifically what teachers would teach me. And at the same time, I didn't really want to challenge myself, like, for example, in high school by taking AP classes because I just
Yeah.
didn't really care about education that much, bro. I didn't really care about it, not in terms of as in, like, I didn't want to learn, but I just felt like a lot of the stuff that we were learning was pointless. And then in high school, bro, before high school started, I kind of already knew what I really wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to work with athletes, and I
Mm.
knew exactly what I'm kind of like doing now is something I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I kind of would be in class thinking like, oh shit, like I want to work with athletes. Like, why the fuck do I got to learn
Yeah.
about Christopher Columbus, or why do I got to learn
Yeah.
about like geometry? Like, I already know what I had to do. You get me? So, or like what I
Yeah.
wanted to do. So in high school, I was very, I don't want to say naive, but I just was not interested, bro. I wasn't interested because I knew what I wanted to do. So even when people would tell me like, "Hey, you want to take AB classes?" I'm like, "Nah, like low key, like what for?" I know what I want to do. And so even in high school, bro,
Yeah.
believe it or not,
So
uh huh. Go
no,
ahead.
no, no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, so in high school, believe it or not, I actually graduated with like a 3.8 GPA, and
Wow.
I actually was one of the top, I believe, 25 students. And I didn't even really, first of all, I didn't really try. I didn't really take it that
Dang.
serious, and I never took AP classes. Most people that were on that list, bro, actually had
Yeah.
AP classes, so that's why they were way ahead. Because some of them had like a 4 point. You know
Yeah.
how it's like the top is like 4 point something, but
Like
I
four
believe
point
with AP,
something. Yeah.
yeah, like with AP classes, bro, it's like 4.2, 4.3. You get me? They go beyond
Yeah.
the GPA. So I was like, you know what, man? I know what I want to do. So I would just be like, I would be disinterested. It'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, you want to learn about this? Nah, fuck that. I remember even my last year, bro, I wanted to go home because eventually, once you were caught up with all your credits, you were allowed the
Yeah.
opportunity for instead of like your fifth period or sixth period, I believe it was sixth period though. Instead of taking another class
Yeah.
or taking kind of like they call it here expository class or like art, like basically like an art class. Instead of doing
Yeah.
that, you had the possibility of going
A
home.
curriculum, right?
Yeah,
Is it a
curriculum,
curriculum?
basically like an art
Yeah.
curriculum, some shit like that. So instead of going to those classes, I wanted to go home. But the counselor, like, since I don't know if you know this, but in high school, they give high school points depending on where you send students, right? So
Yeah.
the more prestigious the school or the college that you send a student for to, I mean, they end up getting more points. The high school gets
Yeah.
scaling through the ranks of like the high school in the California area or state area. I mean, or state.
Yeah.
And so what ended up happening is that I guess the counselor was like, "Oh, like you're one of the top students, and we want you to like to go to a good school or whatever. So I can't give you the opportunity to go home. So pick a class.
Yeah.
You get me? So yeah, man. For me, school for me was pretty easy. I just was very uninterested in anything anyone ever told me, bro, or tried
No,
to
and
teach me.
and no, and that's how it is. Like once you know what you want to do, everything else becomes pointless. Like when I was in school, that's the reason why like I was good in English and history because just because of the music, and that's something that I wanted to do at the time. Like I want to be famous, I want to be a rapper, and that's what I'm gonna do.
Hmm.
And that's just a well, I don't want to. I guess you can say drop out or whatever. But I was like, you know what? These are the classes that I'm gonna pay more attention to because
Hmm.
I'm actually interested in English. I'm interested in history. I'm interested in all of this other things. And in PE, I was only interested in PE because I was doing everything I had to do in PE. in physical education because it was a girl that I liked, at the time, and I was like, well,
Oh
I understand.
yeah.
Not for real
Oh
though.
yeah, mommy.
Not for real. And nah, but I guess the biggest fear for me was dropping out because every school that I went to, bro. I went to 14 different schools all over LA, and the biggest thing for me, I was always afraid of like, am I gonna be here for like a week, 2 weeks, a month?
Hmm.
There's times when I will go to school and I was only there for a month. I was, I will go to a different school and I was only there for less than a year or 5 months. Or I remember I went to this school and I was only there for 1 week. And so it just, for me, I was always like, that's also the reason why I will stay to myself, because I didn't want to let nobody in. I didn't want to like start a friendship and then, okay, bye, I guess we're not friends no more. And you think about the person that you think about the person you became friends with, like, damn, and it's like, whatever. Then you forget because you just keep moving so much that it's pointless.
Yeah,
Not until I went into foster care that I actually was, you can say, stable for the first time.
mhm.
Other than living with my dad, when I was living with my dad, I was stable. I was at one school and everything. But other than that, like when I was with my mom, it was always moving around, moving around, moving around. Foster care, and then I was stable towards that point.
Yeah, going back to what we were talking about with education, sometimes, I mean, I hate to be that person, bro, but sometimes just being really honest with myself, and I feel like a lot of people will attest to this and agree upon it. A lot of the times, bro, the teachers really also didn't really give a fuck in the LA area, bro. Like especially like the hoods where we were from. Like some
Yeah,
teachers didn't really give a fuck. They were just really there for a paycheck, and some teachers didn't really give a fuck to the point where they didn't really make the class interesting, or didn't even really bother to get like the kids or everyone in our group involved or the rest of their classes involved. So a lot of times, bro, it was just for me like, man, this fucking sucks, dude. Like, all we're doing is either A, packets, bro, or we're just fucking taking notes,
yeah,
bro, or we're just looking at a PowerPoint and we just jot down whatever the fuck we can. And a lot
yeah.
of times, I mean, I feel like schools or at least teachers need to kind of get a little bit more creative on the way that they teach, because some of it wasn't really interactive enough, and some of us don't even grasp onto into the information. Like, we could have like things that we probably spend semesters on at this current moment, like when we were in middle school or maybe even high school, and we won't even remember it,
Yeah,
bro, because it's not memorable. Like, the teachers didn't make it memorable. Like, subjects
yeah.
where I still retain a lot of information are with teachers that actually either A, made it fun, interactive, or they made it easy enough for you to just basically keep it intact inside your brain
No,
for quite a
and
long time.
and I agree. Like when my geometry class was like that, like it was just like we get there, we sit down and just, okay, this, teacher writing something down, you just copy it down, raise your hand, okay, you got it. It's just simple. It was very simple. So obviously, like it was, I never really thought about it until now, like that. But I guess you can say, if you make it to the point where people want to participate
Mm-hmm.
and people enjoy it, and man, I can't wait to go to this class,
Mm-hmm.
and you get people involved and you start making projects and you start making groups, and I feel like if they do that, and I actually had some classes like that where I was excited to go, like, hey man, I'm excited to go to this class,
Yeah.
make it memorable, and make it to the point where people want to participate and people actually want to go to school. People actually want to learn. Make learning fun. Learning is fun. Learning is cool. Education is good. Knowledge is free, so why not? But you can make it fun.
Yeah, like for example, I'm not gonna throw my teachers out of the bus by actually naming them,
Yeah,
but economics, bro, like economics and statistics in my 12th grade year of high school. Okay, to begin with, like with all due respect, I'm pretty sure there's a good amount of people that maybe like it, but in general, I feel like most of the population will agree with this. It's fucking boring, bro. It's like one of the
mm,
most boring subject matters that you could probably take in high school, economics. And to top it all off, my fucking teacher was boring as fuck. So imagine, bro, a boring ass person teaching a boring ass
yeah.
subject,
Boring
dude.
subject. Yeah.
Everybody hated that fucking class, bro. Even the people that I felt probably genuinely liked school fucking hated that class because of the way that the fucking teacher taught, bro. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
shut the fuck up, dude. That was like the only class, bro, where I wish he would just put on a PowerPoint and be like, hey, take down the notes that you need, dude, because he would talk even so fucking slow and so boring. And he was so
Yeah.
boring, dude, that he hated fun. Like, for example, we had like breakfast in
Wow.
class, right? So my senior year, we had breakfast in class. It was like a new thing
Yeah.
where instead of eating outside, everybody was gonna eat breakfast in their first period or
Yeah.
their second period, depending because we had odd and even blocks. So one day we would have
Yeah.
odd classes, another day we had even blocks, right? So and during breakfast in class, bro, we were technically free to do whatever we want, or at least you get me, like be on our phones, eat.
Yeah.
But he was so boring, dude. Like he didn't want anybody to eat. He just wanted people to eat and be quiet, bro. Which is was fucked up because that kind of wasn't really part of the rule. It was more like you were supposed to
Yeah.
eat and you could also like chit chat. You could be on your phone because technically it would be like
Yeah.
your nutrition. You get me? It was just called
Yeah.
breakfast in
Nutrition.
class. But
Yeah.
fucking this dude was borderline about to cry, bro, because people would take out their phones and it was just
Wow.
like that dude was a mess, bro. And I'm pretty sure he was a good dude, bro. And I'm pretty sure he had good
Yeah.
intentions. I'm not here to like totally be like, oh, this guy was a fucking loser. But no,
No.
this guy was just really boring, bro. And everybody just kind of hated his class, bro. He was somebody that I felt had no real enthusiasm for the subject matter. And although it was a boring subject matter to begin with, he just didn't really make it cool at all, bro.
No.
Like I
And
feel like he like other people had economics with another teacher fool. I'm gonna name him
yeah.
because everybody thought he was cool, Mr. Navarez, and everybody like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, this guy was funny, and he cracked up jokes and he made stuff like cool and fun. But
Yeah.
man, dude, like we were stuck with probably like the worst teacher. My youngest sister actually ended up having him, and she's
Uh.
like, oh, he's fucking boring, dude.
Nah, and it's like that sometimes. Even like at work, like I'm not gonna mention anything, but like like everybody has different styles of, I guess, management, different styles of teaching, different styles of of how do I say it? Like everybody has different styles of I guess leadership
Hmm.
of
Yeah,
teaching, you can say. And you know, how do I say it? It's like some people make it fun, some people don't, and some people stick by the book, and some don't, Um, like for me, that's what I'm like learning right now. Is just like I guess you can say at work, that's kind of how it felt. I felt like I put in so much work that I feel like I know you don't really. I mean, you always say this all the time. We don't deserve anything,
hmm,
and I agree to a certain extent
stand, yeah,
because if you put in the work, you deserve something. At least to me, it does.
yeah,
Because if you put in the work, why not? You know, if you put in the work, I feel like you do. But before, I had to agree with you like to the fullest because I'm like, yeah, I mean, like we don't deserve anything, and now as a believer, and God is like, I don't deserve like forgiveness, I don't deserve none of this, none of that, but I still get it,
yeah.
and which makes you grateful, makes me grateful, But going back to all of that, like I'm trying to adjust. I'm trying to adjust to that, like new styles of leadership, and how you can learn from different leaders and just see the good in every leader and apply it to yourself,
Mm.
you know. But yeah, everybody's different, and everybody's either some of them sticks to the book, some don't. Some is just there because they that's how that maybe that's the way they were taught. I mean, who knows? But it doesn't mean that they're bad people. Like you
Yeah.
mentioned, like maybe that's just the way they teach or they manage or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think like most people manage or they lead off their characteristics. So someone, of course, that has a very serious tone is not really gonna motivate people in a very like I don't know, like high energy, high
Yeah,
motivational type of way. I feel like it's gonna be very stern, very straightforward, and it's cool and it might work for some people, but I feel
yeah,
like the best. leaders, bro, are the people that they could be fun with the guys that need
Yeah.
to just be a little bit more lax and a little bit more relaxed. They could be a little bit more stern
Yeah.
with the people that need to be stern, and they could just
Yeah.
be straightforward to everyone when it comes down to it. But yeah,
Yeah.
man, I just feel like some people, the way that they lead, I mean, I don't totally agree with it. Just like they might not totally agree with some of the ways that I think or the way that I would lead a group. But yeah, man, some people you could actually tell, like in certain environments, that the people don't really like them, bro. Like for example, like in the last job that I was in, I'm grateful for the opportunity the guy gave me, and I'm very
Yeah.
grateful for him just giving me a shot to be there for the couple months that I was there. But there was times, bro, where he would enter and it would be like, dude, like you're like the top guy or you're like the metal here, so you kind of don't really act like it, bro, or you act or you go about it in a very douchey way. So instead of like, like when somebody enters a room, bro, or at least somebody with a lot of like power or like a lot of people eyes immediately go to them. I feel like for the most part, bro, like the way that you make your presence felt, instead of just kind of like walking in
Yeah.
like a bit of a douche, bro, you kind of like say people, hey, good morning, good afternoon,
Yeah.
wave at people. But no, sometimes this guy would just walk in, kind of like, no, with all due respect, with a Fuchi face, and just go
Yeah.
about it, bro, and like kind of like ignore everybody to his side or everybody that might be talking to him or everybody that would kind of like wave at him or raise their hand
Yeah.
from a distance. And I feel like a lot of people didn't really like that or respect that, bro. Or you get me? Like people just kind of like seem like
No, I agree.
bummed out about it sometimes, man.
No, I agree. And for me, it's like I always tell people, like I treat people the same way they those. I how do I say it? I treat the CEO the same way I treat the garbage person. I don't switch up none of that. There's on Fridays at my job I manage people, so I'm basically like a little manager,
Mm-hmm.
like a you know manager without the title.
Yeah.
And I send people here. I said I manage the warehouse basically, and I the person that runs it that runs the desk during the week, Monday to Thursday. She she kind of like, okay, you get whatever you get. If you get this book that's hard to do, you'll do it regardless. But to me, it's like I try to be fair with everybody. Why? Because I was there. I've been there.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's right or wrong, but that's just the way I do it. Like, hey, you get one book, you get this. It's hard, but then the next one you get a light one, and then when you come back, yeah, you might get another one, and then
Yeah.
you. But I try to be fair with everybody, and because I feel like that's the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Not to think that I'm all that, or to feel a certain way to make me feel good. You know, uh, obviously, there's one thing that I do love about The Rock, where he always says like, "Stay hungry, but always stay humble." Because you can have everything right now, but not maybe. What about tomorrow? You might lose everything.
Yeah.
So it's always good to stay humble and yeah. I don't know. I mean, obviously you've been in some places like I've been in some places where where people that are above you think they're everything, but they're human too, and it's just a title. Because I mean, even where I'm at, like I don't have a title, but I know I'm a leader.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm a leader, and I know because even people tell me like, man, like I like the way you lead, and you're not even a supervisor. I like the way because I don't I talk, but I'm also action. Like, hey, you should do it like this, or or when I'm out there on the floor, like, hey, like I encourage people
Yeah.
to become greater at what they're or what become greater at what they're doing. But I'm also the type to understand that there's times when I'll tell people you should do it this way, but then they do it their own way. That's totally fine because it's not about. I just give them tips, and if they want to follow it, they follow it. If they don't, they don't. But that what makes other people great too is that they find their own way.
Yeah. That's true. So
Yeah.
basically, bro, that basically will pretty much wrap up our hour. Anything, to close off the podcast? It ran pretty smooth today, so
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited for this one, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel we touched upon a bunch of different things,
Yeah.
so it was a good one, bro. Anything you want to close
No,
off?
we definitely did, and nah, this one was really good. Like for the viewers and listeners, like we don't script it. We don't be like, oh, this is what we're gonna talk about. This is what we're gonna say. This is the topics that we're gonna do. Episode 4, I kind of like was telling you that this is what I wanted to say because it was in my heart. So I kind of like, didn't know where to start or how to bring it up. But I feel like when it just runs like this, it just runs smoothly. Uh, obviously, all I wanted to say is just say thank you to the listeners. We appreciate it, and just grateful. I guess word of the day is just being grateful.
Be grateful. So that's the word of the day, guys. Be grateful. So yeah, man.
And leadership.
So yeah, man. So pretty much I'll leave you going. And well, yeah, man. Hopefully we get together next time. I think this would be a good time, bro, to actually like record from now on.
Yeah. Oh, if you want to, Mondays we can. Like I said, I don't work Mondays, so Monday mornings will be good. I mean, my nieces will not be here, and the house will be quiet, and we're able to record. So
All right, that sounds good, bro. All right, man.
sounds good, man.
All right.
Hey, I appreciate you too, man. Okay,
Nah, man. Appreciate you. Love you, man.
I love you too, bro.
All right, man. Peace.